Okay, thank you for joining us here again, day 2 at JRDA Champs. It is just after 12 o'clock here Central Time. We're moving into our next game. This is going to be Des Moines versus the Spokane Pixies. This is game number 9. We anticipate about a minute and a half yet till first whistle. So we'll go ahead and do a soft introduction here for our teams. Skating for the Pixies, they are the team in the black. Number 000, Trisket. 007, Rubik's Dude. 111, Scary Poppins. 13, Glitter Bomb. 14, Striking Viking. 247, Nacho Friend. Number 3, Little Miss Savage. Number 33, Jawbreaker. 33, Firecracker. 426, Ace Hard Scare. 504, Fuster Cluck. Number 7, Thunderbreeze. 777, Hyper. Number 9, Brutal Beauty. And the captain, number 594, Lip Bust Her. For the Des Moines Derby Brats, this is the team in white. Number 111, Joe Mama. 15, Daslea. 1987, Honey. Number 2, Athena. Number 2010, Miggy. 21, Salty Cupcakes. Number 51, Rose. 55, Vertigo. Number 9, Twig. Number 916, Mr. Valiant. And the captain, number 999, Miss Mayhem. On the bench for the Des Moines Pixies. Des Moines Derby Brats, Mark, Riley, and Chase. Game 10 following this will be Santa Cruz versus Rose City. And our championship game appears to be winner of Game 5 is Philly. Winner of Game 6, Foco. So Philly Foco will be our championship game here at playoffs. Okay, moving into our first game of the game, we have Rubik's Dude out there versus Miggy. It is a Des Moines lead now. Miggy in control. Jamming for the Pixies, 007, Rubik's Dude. And Rubik's Dude coming out with 4 points for the Pixies. Apex jump by Rubik's Dude gets 4 more points. Miggy coming out with 4 points for Des Moines. So both jammers here, we are jammer on jammer. They're crashing into the back of the pack, trying to find that weak spot. Miggy's in, trying to go up the middle. Rubik's Dude is out with another 4, so Pixies looking at a 12-point jam. Miggy just breaking out, coming around turn 4. Miggy calls off the jam. So our first jam of the game, 8 points for Des Moines and 12 points for the Pixies. Coming out the jam for the Pixies, number 3, Little Miss Savage. For Des Moines, number 9, this is Twig, and that jam is off to a start. 5-on-5 jam. Our penalty box is clear, so both teams are at full strength. Little Miss Savage gets through on the inside. Little Miss Savage is out. It's a Pixies lead. Twig stuck on this initial pass. Here comes Little Miss Savage in, finding a hole there, getting through the pack on the outside line, going to the middle, now fighting as Des Moines reforms their wall against Little Miss Savage. Twig is out after a star stash, completing an initial pass. Little Miss Savage does have those 4 points, despite being swallowed back up into the pack, and she calls off the jam. That +4 for the Pixies is going to bring them up to 16. Des Moines scoreless in that jam. They are still at 8. Looks like that is going to be Trisket, number 000 out there for the Pixies. And Mr. Valiant, that's 2010, has the star for Des Moines. And it is a Des Moines lead. Mr. Valiant is our lead jammer. So both jammers are out. Mr. Valiant coming in on a scoring pass. 007, that's Rubik's Dude doing some blocking on Mr. Valiant, forcing Mr. Valiant out of bounds, and Mr. Valiant has to restart that pass. Our jam is called off. Des Moines picking up 4 points on that, and that appears to be scoreless for the Pixies, so that's going to close up that points gap right early here in the game, 12-16. Pixies still with that 4-point lead. Looks like we're going to see a Little Miss Savage, number 3, out there again for the Pixies. That whistle starts the jam. Miggy, number 2010, out there for Des Moines. Pretty solid pack here, neither jammer out. Little Miss Savage is making her way to the front of the pack, but Des Moines with a 2-wall. Rose and Miss Mayhem working that defense. Little Miss Savage is out, and she is our lead jammer. Miggy, stuck on this initial pass, gets taken out of bounds and forced to recycle. Little Miss Savage once again working against Rose. Little Miss Savage completes that 4-point pass, increasing their lead. Miggy completing an initial pass, but here comes Little Miss Savage on her second scoring trip through. Some one-on-one blocking there by Twig. Little Miss Savage, though, breaks out of the pack. She's got 4 points, and she calls off the jam. So all said and done, 8 points on that jam by Little Miss Savage, bringing Pixies up to 24. Des Moines, once again, our team in white, scoreless in that jam. Three to 4 pack in favor of the Pixies. Rubik's Dude out there. Number 007 taking on number 9 from Des Moines. That's Twig. Okay, Pixies lead. Rubik's Dude is in control. Twig completing an initial pass. Rubik's Dude on a scoring pass, getting pushed to the out, but it stays on the track. Rubik's Dude completes that 4-point pass and calls off the jam. Des Moines unable to score in that jam. So they are still at the 12-point mark. Pixies are at 28. Pixies with number 000 Trisket. 2010 Miggy out the jam for Des Moines. Lip Buster working some solo defense against Miggy. Miggy is out. This is a Des Moines lead. And a track cut called off on Trisket is going to be a much needed power jam here in the hands of Des Moines. Their chance to catch up on some of these missed points, these lost points here from the first couple jams of the game. Miggy is out. Trisket still seated in the box, so this is still a power jam underway for Des Moines. Pixies ramping up their defense at the back of the pack. Scary Poppins working the back of that tripod. It looks like Miggy making his way out with another 4 points, so looking at an 8-point jam for Des Moines so far. Trisket coming back in from the earlier track cut, so both jammers back in play, each team down a blocker. And Miggy comes through. Looks like he might have Looks like Miggy might have passed all 4 blockers. Let's see what our referees are going to come up with. Looks like that's going to be a scoreless jam for Pixies and +4. So a total of 12 points for Des Moines. Brings us down to a 4-point game. Pixies 28, Des Moines 24. Okay, listening to our house announcers here. This is Blade and Hippie from Foco Spartans doing an amazing job. I'm overhearing that the official review has been lost. So we're back to our jam. Number 3, Little Miss Savage out there for Pixies. And Twig, number 9, out to jam for Des Moines. So you can see Twig taking on that 2-wall. That 2-wall of Pixies blockers. Little Miss Savage sneaks through, and she is our lead jammer. Now Savage coming in, calling off that jam. And Little Miss Savage does have 4 points on that scoring pass, so +4 for Pixies, going to help keep their lead in the game. That 4 points brings Pixies up to 32. Des Moines scoreless in that jam. They're still at 24. All right, moving to our next jam. Rubik's Dude now versus Miggy. Pixies lead. Rubik's Dude, number 007 out there, and is our lead jammer. Rubik's Dude is in, working on a very tight pack. Here comes Miggy coming in. Very quick jam, 2-0, and a call-off gives 2 more points to the Pixie side of the scoreboard. 10-point game, 34-24. Pixies in the lead. Trisket, 000, out there wearing that jammer star for the Pixies. And it looks like number 9, Twig, back out there for Des Moines. Des Moines working the 3-wall at the back of the pack against Trisket. It's a Des Moines lead now. Number 9, Twig, is our lead jammer. Both jammers out of the pack. Twig is ahead. Trisket catching up, so going into some jammer-on-jammer action, Twig goes for the call-off, sacrificing the jam, and it looks like there are no points being held up by either of our jammer referees, so that jam scoreless for both teams. Still looking at 34-24, Pixies with the lead. 20 minutes left to our first half of the game. Little Miss Savage back out there in the jammer line for the Pixies. Miggy, 2010, out there for Des Moines. Little Miss Savage stuck at the back of the pack. Miggy out with a second lead, and two back-to-back leads here for Des Moines. Now Miggy coming in the pack speeding up ahead of Miggy. Miggy is in, pushing a Pixies blocker out of the way, obviously legally. No penalty was called on that. It was a legal hit. And it looks like another scoreless jam. So still it's 34-24, Pixies with the lead in the game. 007 Rubik's Dude out there for the Pixies. Mr. Valiant out there for Des Moines. Mr. Valiant coming into the top of the pack. Pixies blockers throwing a tripod very quickly. Meanwhile, Rubik's Dude working to the front of the pack. Rubik's Dude is out. It's a Pixies lead, breaking that streak of leads by Des Moines. Mr. Valiant is out, completing an initial pass. Here comes Rubik's Dude coming into the pack, making their way through. Beautiful dance there on those skates as Rubik's Dude calls off the jam with 4 points to show for it. Little Miss Savage back out there, and Twig from Des Moines. Oh, Twig attempts an apex jump, is called off on a track cut. That apex jump kind of failed midair, and Twig re-entered, called off on a track cut. So here's a power jam in the hands of Little Miss Savage. Little Miss Savage is called lead. So Little Miss Savage on a power jam for the Pixies. Now Little Miss Savage coming in the pack, making their way up to the top. Gets some one-on-one blocking by one of those Des Moines blockers at the top. Little Miss Savage does come out with 4 points. Still on a power jam. Twig still in the box now standing. So there's the last couple seconds. Twig comes in and re-enters at the back. Miggy putting Little Miss Savage out of bounds and trying to draw the cut. But Miss Savage calls off the jam. Looks like Miss Savage has 1 point on that second scoring pass, making this a 5-point jam, bringing the Pixies up to 43 over Des Moines 24. Des Moines with this streak of scoreless jams. They've been at 24 points now for 6 jams in a row. Rubik's Dude back out there taking on Miggy. Miggy pushing at the front of the pack against that 3-wall. Miggy finding a hole on the outside, and he is our lead jammer for Des Moines. Running a stop pack here coming on the jammer line. Miggy is in, Ed is out with 4 points to show. Rubik's Dude with a star stash. Breaks out, completing an initial pass with that no lead jammer hand signal. Here comes Miggy on a second round of points. Miggy finding a hole on the inside, coming around the apex, and that is 4 more points for Des Moines. Rubik's Dude is out, does complete 1 scoring pass so far up against Miggy's 2. Now make that 3. Miggy is in and is out. Jukes past those Pixies blockers. So Des Moines now with a 12-point jam. Rubik's Dude out to score for the Pixies, but Rubik's Dude is okay. Rubik's Dude does have 4 points. Des Moines losing a blocker to the penalty box. Miggy recycled to the back of the pack on this scoring pass. Thunder Breeze out there knocking blockers down, trying to clear out a hole. Rubik's Dude comes out with another scoring pass complete. So all said and done on that jam. Des Moines just with a net 4 points, 16-12. So Des Moines now at 40. Pixies with that 15-point lead. They're at 55. 000 Trisket taking on 916 Mr. Valiant in our next jam. And there's 4 whistles. So we are going into a team timeout called by the Des Moines bench. Rolling whistle brings us to the end of that team timeout called by the Des Moines bench. So we're going back to our jam, back to our game, I should say. The penalty box appears to be empty. Let's see what we got. No, there is one. Appears to be one Des Moines blocker. So 4-3 pack here in favor of the Pixies. Trisket out there versus Mr. Valiant. And Trisket forced out of bounds and sent to the back of the pack. Now Trisket being caught up in that Des Moines defense, and Mr. Valiant is out with a Des Moines lead. So back-to-back leads here for Des Moines. Mr. Valiant now coming in on a scoring pass, taking on a 2-wall. The Pixies blockers make that a single-person wall. All right, Mr. Valiant is out. Signals the call-off after getting 4 points and keeping that jam scoreless for the Pixies. So Pixies now 55, Des Moines 44. Des Moines starting this next jam with the pack advantage. Pixies down 1 blocker in the box. Little Miss Savage out there on the jammer line for the Pixies. And number 2010, Miggy out to jam for Des Moines. Miggy is out. Little Miss Savage stuck in the pack on this initial pass. Here comes Miggy Winding up for the first round of points. Miggy is in, tries to sneak through on the outside, takes a bit of a tumble, gets back up on his skates. Little Miss Savage still stuck on this initial, unable to complete her initial pass. Miggy brought to the back of the pack, still on the first scoring pass of the jam. And that 4 whistles ends the jam. So it looks like Little Miss Savage may have had some kind of equipment malfunction. Pixies were scoreless in that jam. Des Moines with a 4-point jam compliments of Miggy. So counting down here, down to just a 7-point game. Our next jam looking to be 5-on-5, but there is a timeout called by the Pixies bench, so we're going to take another 60-second break. If we have anybody from Foco Spartans listening on the feed, I want to give a major shout-out to their skater. That is Reaper's Blade for jumping in and taking the mic. Reaper's Blade did apply and was accepted to be an announcer here at Champs and is doing an amazing job. We have a really, really fantastic crew of announcers working this weekend, albeit kind of on a short staff, but everybody is doing a fantastic job, including our junior skaters, so we are very happy to have them here. Blade is working along with, I believe that is a Foco alumni. That is Hippie. They are doing the house side. We are back to our game, though. Enough on that. Rubik's Dude out there to take on Twig in this next jam. Nice 3-wall by Des Moines at the top of the pack, keeping Rubik's Dude stuck on this initial pass. Meanwhile, at the back of the pack, all of the Pixies defense working against Twig, so we do not yet have a lead jammer. Rubik's Dude did make their way up to the top of the pack and is our lead jammer. Now here comes Rubik's Dude on a first scoring pass, making very quick work of that 4 points, sliding through on the outside. Rubik's Dude now winding up for a second round of points. Collides with number 999, Miss Mayhem. Rubik's Dude is out now with another 4, so kind of undoing those last couple points that were scored by Des Moines that were bringing them up to what could have been a lead change. And another round of points completed, making this a 12-point jam for the Pixies. Rubik's Dude now working on another scoring pass. The highest scoring jam we've had so far was 16 points. It looks like Rubik's Dude is on their way to make or break that. Twig brought all the way to the back of the pack by number 777, Hyper from the Pixies, working that defense now. 247 Nacho Friend also with another jammer rollback, forcing Twig to keep recycling to the back of the pack. Rubik's Dude is out with another 4 now, looking at tying the second highest scoring jam of the game. This is 16 points. Okay, and that jam is over, so let's make sure it's official with our referees. There it is, 16-0 in favor of the Pixies. Pixies at 71, Des Moines 48. 10 minutes left to our first half of the game. Little Miss Savage coming out there to jam for the Pixies. Looks like we might be having number 2010 Miggy out to jam here for Des Moines. And that whistle starts the action. Our jammers are off. Little Miss Savage and Miggy, neither one out of the pack. There it is. Miggy is out, so it's a Des Moines lead. Miggy in control. Little Miss Savage stuck on an initial. Okay, Little Miss Savage is out, completing an initial pass. Here comes Miggy with an apex jump. We've seen Des Moines come out with a number of impressive jams that could lead us to believe that there's a possibility that they could end up pulling off a little bit of a lead change. It's really early in the game yet to make any kind of calls on that, though. We're back to our game, and this is Rubik's Dude out there versus Mr. Valiant. And Rubik's Dude breaking out, making this a Pixies lead. Mr. Valiant getting past Hyper. Now Mr. Valiant also out, so both jammers are out are in point scoring positions. Running a pretty tight pack there for just a moment. Rubik's Dude does get in there and call off the jam. Okay, that is a partial scoring pass completed, so 3 points there for the Pixies. This familiar jammer matchup back at it. Number 3, Little Miss Savage versus number 9, Twig from Des Moines. You can see Twig fighting with that 3 while the Pixies blocker is braced by number 777 Hyper. Little Miss Savage fighting with the Des Moines defense. Little Miss Savage is out, so it is a Pixies lead. Now Thunder Breeze bracing up there for that block. Glitter Bomb reforming and bracing that tripod against Twig, so keeping Twig stuck on this initial pass. Little Miss Savage coming in for his scoring trip. Little Miss Savage is stuck at the back of the pack. Des Moines bringing Little Miss Savage all the way out of bounds. Okay, Little Miss Savage comes back in. Gets some collision there by the captain, number 999, Miss Mayhem from Des Moines. Little Miss Savage is out with the first 4 points of the jam. Twig coming in. That jam is called off. There are 2 more points there rolling in for Little Miss Savage. I'm sorry, 3 more points. So all said and done, a 7-point jam for the Pixies. Des Moines stuck on this series of 4 or 5 scoreless jams. They've got Mr. Valiant out there to take on number 000 Trisket from the Pixies. And Trisket is out. Lead jammer for the Pixies once again. Now Trisket is in a scoring pass, makes that hop around 111. That's Joe Mama from Des Moines. So a very quick 4 points there by Trisket, and the jam is called off. That 4 points brings Pixies now up to 85. It's a scoreless jam for Des Moines once again. Looks like it's going to be a 4-3 pack here in favor of the Pixies in this next jam. Number 9, Twig, out there with the Jammer Star. And coming out to jam for the Pixies, looks like this is number 007, Rubik's Dude. A little bit of a collision there. Rubik's Dude goes down, recovers on their skates, gets past number 51. That is Rose, and Rubik's Dude is our lead jammer. Twig following about half a lap behind Rubik's Dude. Rubik's Dude now in for a scoring pass, making quick work, getting in the pack, getting those 4 points, calls it off. Twig barely getting into the engagement zone by the time Rubik's Dude calls off that jam. So 4-0 once again for the Pixies. Down to about 5 minutes left to our first half. Pixies 89, Des Moines 48. Still a 4-3 pack in favor of the Pixies. They've got number 3, Little Miss Savage, out there to jam. And taking on Little Miss Savage, this is number 916, Mr. Valiant. Little Miss Savage brought to the back of the pack, forced to restart this pass. Both jammers with the ability to pick up lead. Little Miss Savage meeting a tripod. I'm sorry, no. Mr. Valiant meeting a tripod of Pixies blockers held up by, I believe, that might be 504 Fuster Cluck working that tripod position against Mr. Valiant. Still no lead jammer. Honey, number 1987, is in there trying to break up that Pixies wall, but Honey is taken out of bounds as well. still no lead jammer as the Pixies reform their wall. All 4 blockers at the front of the pack against Mr. Valiant. Mr. Valiant just stuck. Now Deslaya coming in there trying to break up that wall of Pixies blockers for Mr. Valiant, but Mr. Valiant still getting the brute force of that defensive wall at the front of the pack. Little Miss Savage taken out and drawn all the way to the back to restart that pass. You can see Lip Buster just bracing that tripod over and over again as Mr. Valiant unable to make any headway through that defensive wall. Hyper taking down Mr. Valiant, but it looks like that was not a legal hit because Hyper is on their way to the penalty box. That might have thinned things up enough for our jammers to get out. So Mr. Valiant is out with a Des Moines lead. Here comes Little Miss Savage, though, on Mr. Valiant's tail. So both jammers are in the pack now. Jammer on jammer. 594. That is Lip Buster taking down Mr. Valiant. That jam is called off. All said and done after that jam. Just +4 for Pixies. They're at 93, and +2 for Des Moines. They're at 50. Looks like this is number 000 Trisket out there versus number 9 Twig. And that whistle starts the action. Twig getting past Ace Hardscare. Ace Hardscare called off on it. Looks like it might have been a high block penalty. We're not sure. They only caught the tail end of that hand signal. So Twig is our lead jammer here for Des Moines. Twig now beginning a scoring pass. Gets past Nacho Friend and Joe Mama. And Twig putting 4 points on the board for Des Moines. Twig now working on a second round of points. Initial pass completed by Trisket, but Twig calling off the jam. Let's see if Twig has any points to show at the end of that scoring pass. Looks like there's 4 more rolling in, so 8-0 here in favor of Des Moines, 58-93. A little bit of a jammer fist bump between our jammers. It looks like Twig might be coming out doing back-to-back jams. Sure looks like it. Twig back out there on the jammer line. And 007 Rubik's Dude out there with the star for the Pixies. And Rubik's Dude breaking out first. That means Rubik's Dude is our lead jammer. Lip Buster working some solo defense there against Twig. Now Twig taken out of bounds and forced to recycle behind that entire Pixies defensive wall. Lip Buster once again trying some defense, but both jammers are out of the pack. That's 4 points for Rubik's Dude. And initial pass complete. You can see that we are jammer on jammer right now. It's only going to get more exciting here as the day progresses, as we move into the championship games. 4-0 in favor of the Pixies. They are at 97 over Des Moines 58. Likely going to have time for one more jam from our first half of the game. And it looks like Trisket is going back out there. And Mr. Valiant, number 916, taking that Des Moines Jammer Star. And an illegal contact penalty called on Trisket. That's going to leave lead open for Mr. Valiant. So in the final jam of the first half, this is a power jam in the hands of Des Moines. So Mr. Valiant now beginning a scoring pass. Brutal Beauty working some defense there, working as the pivot for the Pixies. Tries to take Mr. Valiant out of bounds. Mr. Valiant stays in bounds, completing that first 4-point pass of the jam. So still a power jam in the hands of Des Moines. Trisket standing, so just the last couple seconds of this penalty. Our pack takes off, but Mr. Valiant does get out and has another 4 points. Initial pass now underway by Trisket. Trisket is in. Nice defense stepping in there by number 999, the captain. That's Miss Mayhem, keeping Trisket on this initial pass. Mr. Valiant coming in on a third round of points. Trisket is out completing the initial pass, and Mr. Valiant calls off the jam, keeping Trisket from scoring any points. We move into halftime, all said and done. That's an 11-point jam for Des Moines. Our halftime score, Des Moines 69, Pixies 97. We're going to take a 15-minute break and come back to you with the whole other half of this game. Okay, welcome back to our third game here at JRDA Championships, our second day of champs. This is the Pixies roller derby taking on Des Moines, coming into our second half of the game with a score of Pixies 97, Des Moines 69. Still anyone's game at this point. We've seen a lot of good jams by both of our teams. After this game, our fourth game of the day, game 10 will be Santa Cruz versus Rose City. And our last game of the day will be Philly versus the Foco Spartans. All right, that rolling whistle is bringing us out of this halftime into our second half of the game. We saw quite a few jams in our first half of this game. A lot of scoreless jams by Des Moines, but they have managed to have jams that made up for that. So now we are in our second half with the whistle blowing. So we are looking at Rubik's Dude out there taking on number 9, Twig. Still on this initial pass for both of our jammers, having some trouble making their way through the pack. Deslaya working some defense in there against Rubik's Dude. Rubik's Dude is out with a Pixies lead. Thunderbreeze putting some blocking on Twig. Twig now getting to the front of the pack, taking on Nacho Friend and Thunderbreeze working the top of that tripod. Rubik's Dude is out, completing the first 4-point pass of the jam. Now Rubik's Dude coming in on a second round of points. Finds a hole on the outside. Gets past those blockers. Puts 4 more points on the board as that jam is called off. That 8 points is going to put the Pixies over the 100-point mark now. They're at 105. Des Moines 69. And taking a look at our jammers here for the next jam, number 3, a little Miss Savage out there for the Pixies. And that's number 916. That is Mr. Valiant out there for the Des Moines Derby Brats. Oh, and little Miss Savage called off. That appears to be a track cut hand signal by our inside referees there. So lead ability being lost for the Pixies and the chance of a power jam in the hands of Mr. Valiant and the Des Moines Derby Brats. Mr. Valiant is up front. Lip Buster trying to take Mr. Valiant out of bounds on the inside, but Mr. Valiant is out, gets those 2 whistles, and is our lead jammer on this power jam. So Mr. Valiant coming in. Pixies down, their jammer still, and a blocker. Little Miss Savage standing, so Miss Savage will be coming back in. Miss Savage re-enters the track, so we are back to having 2 jammers. Mr. Valiant 1 lap ahead of Miss Savage now on a scoring pass. Pixies forming a tripod at the top of the pack against Mr. Valiant, and it proves to be effective. That is number 111, Joe Mama, along with 777. Scary Poppins, along with 777, Hyper, working the bottom of that tripod. Little Miss Savage does come out, completing an initial pass. Mr. Valiant gets 1 last hip check there by Hyper, and the jam is called off. So 7-0 jam in favor of Des Moines. They're at 76 under the Pixies 105. 29-point game. 26:39 left. Triscuit out there taking on Twig. And a very solid pack, but Twig does manage to get through on the outside lane and is our lead jammer. So back-to-back leads here for Des Moines. Triscuit working the front of the pack, but a solid two-wall slowing Triscuit down. Triscuit does get out of the pack as well. We are jammer on jammer now. Those jammers swapping spots on the track. Looks like that was a missed hip check going on there. That jam called off, so it is ultimately scoreless pass, but Des Moines did have 4 points in that jam. So Des Moines now at 80. Pixies scoreless once again at 105.
This is going to be a 25-point game at the moment with 25 minutes left in this game. We've got Rubik's Cube on the line for the Pixies up against Twig, number 9.
Twig back out the jam, back-to-back, taking on Rubik's Dude number 007 for the Pixies. Rubik's Dude taking on the bounds on the outside and brought all the way back. That nice rollback by number 111. That is Joe Mama. Rubik's Dude finds some speed, picking up some speed there, finding a hole on the inside, and comes out, putting the Pixies with a lead jammer. Twig is out of the pack, completing an initial pass, but this is a scoring pass underway by Rubik's Dude. Rubik's Dude gets out of the pack, signals the call off. Let's see. It is not a complete 4 points. It might just be, looks like 2 points going up there. So that puts the Pixies at 107. Triscuit out the jam. Triscuit taking on Mr. Valiant, and it is a 5-on-5 pack. We are at full strength. Triscuit going to the penalty box. Didn't catch that hand signal, but it is a power jam now in the hands of Des Moines. Number 916, Mr. Valiant is in control. Mr. Valiant now coming in on the scoring pass. Pixies throwing their entire defense at Mr. Valiant. Mr. Valiant comes out with a hop, a skip, and a jump, completes that 4-point pass. So we've seen quite a number of scoreless jams in the first half for Des Moines, but a number of jams that made up for it. Not looking at a big point spread at all. Middle of the jam, 84-107. Obviously, there's more points coming in by the end of the jam here. Mr. Valiant on a second scoring pass is being urged to call it by the bench. So Mr. Valiant does have 4 more points. Looks like that's going to be 8-0 in favor of Des Moines. So nice catching up work here. Des Moines 88, Pixies 107. .23:03 left to our game. And there is a team timeout being called by the Des Moines bench. As we've been saying, our next 2 games coming up is going to be Santa Cruz versus Rose City. And our last game is going to be Philly taking on the Foco Spartans. So certainly not games you're going to want to miss. Those are promised to be very action-packed and intense games as we close out this year's JRDA championships here in Chicago.
For this game, so lots of derby to be played still.
Panning over to our Des Moines Derby Brats bench there during this team timeout. Des Moines coached by Mark, Riley, and Chase in there. All right, so there's a rolling whistle. We are at the end of that team timeout. We're going to play some more derby here. Number 3, Little Miss Savage out there on the Pixies jammer line. All right, and our jam is off. Miggy, number 2010, has that star. Looks like Miggy has taken Miss Savage out of bounds and is doing the old jammer rollback. Miss Savage counteracting that with a little bit of a dance on the outside of the track, not playing Miggy's game. So the entire pack now skating backwards. We're doing that old reverse corkscrew move. So not only have these jammers not completed their initial pass, they are, in a manner of speaking, one lap behind. So both jammers come back in. And it appears that we don't have a lead jammer, so we're going to have to go for the full 2 minutes, but they are in point-scoring positions. Little Miss Savage is in there, gets a little bit of a late block by Miss Mayhem. Miss Mayhem was just a half a heartbeat. So that pass we just had was a pass behind the initial pass due to the jammer rollback. So they had to basically catch up that pass and then do their initial pass. We had a very brief lead by Little Miss Savage, and then Little Miss Savage called off the jam, keeping this scoreless for both of our teams. Still at a 19-point game, 88-107. Pixies in the lead with just under 22 minutes to go. Timeout called by our officials. Very brief timeout. There's a rolling whistle coming in to make that a very short timeout. We are back to our game. And I believe that is Trisket out on the jammer line. Looking to catch the Des Moines Derby Brats jammer here. I believe that is, yep, that's Twig, number 9. All right, Pixies in the lead now. Twig, our lead jammer, and is in control. I'm sorry, not Twig. That is Trisket in control. Twig breaking out, completing the initial pass of both jammers coming in to score some points. Trisket calls off the jam. No points scored by either jammer. Nothing, and that jam is over. A little bit of a correction there to the score. Trisket did have 4 points, making their score 111 over Des Moines 88. Back to our next jam. Rubik's Dude out there versus Miggy. You can see Thunder Breeze working to brace that tripod against Miggy. Now, number 13, that's Glitter Bomb, stepping in to help with that defense. There's 2 whistles. 007 Rubik's Dude is our lead jammer for the Pixies. Both jammers now out of the pack. Rubik's Dude about a quarter lap ahead. Rubik's Dude is in, completes that 4-point pass, signals the call off. That jam is over. Twig unable to score, so 4-0. Pixies increasing their lead here, just as Des Moines has been slowly catching up. The Pixies managed to go ahead and increase their score. You can see number 3, Little Miss Savage out there getting ready to jam up against number 916. That is Mr. Valiant. All right, and that whistle brings us off. We are on our next jam. Mr. Valiant fighting to get through. Gets some blocking by Lip Buster from the Pixies, slowing Mr. Valiant down. Now the Pixies blockers forming a tripod, keeping Mr. Valiant stuck in the pack. Little Miss Savage sneaks through. Little Miss Savage is our lead jammer. So 2 leads back-to-back for the Spokane Pixies. Miggy going for a hip check on Little Miss Savage. Little Miss Savage calls off the jam. That's going to be +3 there for the Pixies. So they're at 118, 88 Des Moines.
All right, and it looks like we have Twig taking the star for Des Moines up against Trisket.
Twig out there to jam up against number 000 Trisket from the Spokane Pixies. It's 3-4 pack here in favor of the Pixies. They've got their entire defense spread out across the top of the pack against Twig. Twig now getting past number 247. That is Nacho Friend. Twig is out. It's a Des Moines lead. Twig is in control. And Trisket seated in the box for a penalty. There's a second penalty going to the Pixies pivot for an illegal contact. So Pixies down a blocker and a pivot, allowing Des Moines to catch up on this power jam. So Twig out with the first 4 points of the jam. Now Twig coming in on a second round of points. Scary Poppins and Hyper working the defense in that pack. Twig is taken down. Twig gets back up on skates, completes this scoring pass. Now looking at an 8-point jam so far. 50 seconds left to this jam. Trisket comes back in from that earlier jam penalty. Twig is in, calls off the jam amidst that scoring pass. No points were scored, so 8-0. Des Moines now 96, Pixies 118 with about 17 minutes left. Game is now on the table for either of these two teams. Okay, we're going back to our game here. There's a rolling whistle. Thank you for sticking with us in this, unfortunately, very lengthy official timeout, but we are back to more derby action.
All right, we are back going into jam number 11. That score is going to be 118 to 96.
A matter of 22 points separates these teams. Pixies 118, Des Moines 96. We are off to our next jam. Mr. Valiant taking on Rubik's Dude. And the penalty box is empty, so both teams at full strength. It is a 5-on-5 jam. Rubik's Dude gets up front. Oh, but it's called off on a penalty, so another power jam in the hands of Des Moines. And Mr. Valiant is out. Des Moines' chance now to make up some of these lost points. Mr. Valiant is in, goes to the outside, jukes to the inside. Making quick work of that 4-point pass. Mr. Valiant is out with the first 4 points of the jam. Now here he comes again. Pixies not only down a jammer, but down a blocker as well. Glairbomb in there trying to slow down Mr. Valiant. Mr. Valiant does call off the jam after getting 4 more points. So Des Moines breaking that 100-point mark. They were at 104 under Pixies 118. That was a scoreless jam for the Pixies. Little Miss Savage out there to jam, and there is 4 whistles to bring us to a timeout. This is a team timeout called by the Pixies bench. So give us about 60 seconds here, and we'll come back to our next jam. Running through our officials working this game once again, we have Nesquik, Rocket Chop, Eggs Benedict, Misery Chop, Mortal Comcat, Troublemaker, Tally Up, Jeff Mac and Cheeks, Richie Cranium, Noah Fallon, Miller Light, Synapsing, Elemental, Web Links, and KC Dia. A lot of cheering going on here on the track. Number 3, Little Miss Savage out there to jam. Let's see who we've got jamming for the Des Moines Derby Brats. Okay, our whistle starts the jam. This is Miggy, number 2010. Miggy making way to the front of the pack, but gets blocked just enough to allow Little Miss Savage to break ahead of Miggy. Little Miss Savage is our lead jammer. Now they're both coming in the pack. Des Moines walling up at the back of the pack against Little Miss Savage. Little Miss Savage calls off the jam, and it looks like both of our jammers were scoreless. Twig is out now, taking on number 000, Trisket. It is once again a 5-on-5 jam, so both teams at full strength. There's the whistle. Twig finding a little bit of a hole on the inside, but comes back in and has to take on the entire Pixies defense. Both of these teams holding strong against those jammers. Twig still stuck behind the entire Pixies wall. Trisket taken out of bounds and forced to recycle, and it looks like there's a penalty whistle. I'm seeing some back block hand signals. Let's see what happens. That's going to a blocker. Both jammers still in play. Twig is our lead jammer. Twig taken out of bounds here, and we are skating backwards to recycle both of these jammers to the back of the pack. Now Twig coming in, the Pixies holding their defense very solid once again. Thunderbreeze walling up that tripod at the top of the pack against Twig. And Trisket tries to get through on the outside, then goes up the middle. Nice 2-on-1 blocking there by the Des Moines blocker, by the Des Moines team. That is number 111, Joe Mama, and number 51, Rose, taking Trisket down on this pass. Now, number 15, Deslea, landing a little bit of a block there on Trisket. Trisket is out and just completes an initial pass, but this is scoreless currently for the Pixies as the scoring pass underway by Twig, but Twig calls off the jam. Twig picking up 4 points, bringing them up to 108. And folks, we are down to a 10-point game just like that, 118-108 in favor of the Pixies. Our penalty box partially full here. Looks like we've got 2 Des Moines blockers and 1 Pixie pivot in there. It is Rubik's Dude out there taking on Miggy, and Miggy is out. Miggy is our lead jammer. Miggy picking up some speed here with this abbreviated pack. The penalty box still has 3 blockers in it. Miggy calls off the jam, has 4 points. I'm sorry, 3 points. Incomplete pass, but still points nonetheless. So down to a 7-point game. Des Moines 111-118 in the last 12 minutes. Would you expect anything less from champs from these two teams? Could be foreshadowing what we're going to see here in our next 2 games. Little Miss Savage out there on the jammer line, and let's see who we have here. This is Mr. Valiant on the line for Des Moines. Little Miss Savage trying to work their way up inside and break up that tripod, trying to find a hole using their speed. Their size. Little Miss Savage is out. It is a Pixies lead. Mr. Valiant breaks out, completing that initial pass for Des Moines. Here comes Little Miss Savage on a scoring pass. First scoring pass of the jam for the Pixies. And Little Miss Savage gets out, signals the call off, increasing their lead by 4 points. So going from a 7-point game to an 11-point game, 111-122. can't see it by our camera angle, but directly in front of our table here is the Santa Cruz Grom Shells catching. They're all geared up. There they are. There's the Santa Cruz Grom Shells. They're warmed up, ready to skate here in this next game. They'll be taking on Rose City. Looks like this may be Rubik's Dude with that jammer star for the Pixies, lining up a little bit behind the jammer line back there. Yeah, Rubik's Dude now taking on Miggy. Rubik's Dude is out. Pixies lead. Rubik's Dude making quick work of that lap around the track. Miggy is out completing an initial pass. Rubik's Dude gets those 4 points and calls off the jam. So adding 4 points to that point differential. Now Pixies 126, Des Moines 111. Okay, Little Miss Savage out there. Little Miss Savage powering through that pack. Picking up lead right off that whistle, taking on number 9, Twig. Now Little Miss Savage is in to score some points. Little Miss Savage gets through, gets all 4 points, and calls it off. So Pixies very effective at building up that point differential as Des Moines was slowly catching up to that score. Rubik's Dude is out there again, taking on Miggy. Miggy is out. Our lead jammer, but not to be outdone. Rubik's Dude just about 10, 12 feet behind, so we are jammer on jammer. Intensity building up. And Miggy calling off the jam, keeping Rubik's Dude from scoring any points, and it looks like there is 1 point scored by Miggy for Des Moines, according to our jammer referee, so that's going to add 1 more to that Des Moines score. They're at 112, Pixies at 130. 8 minutes left to our game. Trisket back out there on the jammer line for the Pixies. Mr. Valiant jamming for Des Moines. And that jam was called off by our officials. There were 4 whistles in there right on the initial pass, so no lead jammer. Okay, jam called off on a matter of safety here. I think we're going to take care of some track issues before we move into this next jam. So we are back to our game. Trisket out there taking on Miggy, and we are looking at a very strong pack. It's a 5-on-5 jam. Miggy tries to get up front. Lip busts her, goes out of play. Lip buster has to let Miggy go. Miggy is our lead jammer for the Des Moines Derby Brats. Now Miggy coming in the engagement zone, ready to score some points. Miggy coming through on the outside, gets past Lip buster once again, adds 4 points to Des Moines' side of the scoreboard. And a track cut called on Trisket. Let's see if Des Moines is going to pull this off here in the last few minutes of the game. 4 points on the board now, looking at an 8-point jam. That brings us to a 10-point game by Miggy. Trisket still seated in the box from that track cut. All right, 4 more points going up by Miggy, looking at a 12-point jam, and is now a 6-point game, everybody. It's always those power jams that change the course of the game. 4 more points. Miggy on a 16-point jam now. 2 points separating these teams. Trisket coming back in, although this is an initial pass. Miggy calls off the jam. I don't know if you can feel the energy through our broadcast mic. all that cheering going on our benches. A 20-point jam, the highest scoring jam of the game by Miggy, bringing Des Moines to 132, and it is a definite lead change, albeit by 2 mere points. 130, 132. Des Moines Derby Brats now in the lead. 5:49 left to our game, and number 9 Twig out there jamming against Little Miss Savage. Little Miss Savage taking a tumble on this initial pass. A second lead in a row for Des Moines. Twig is in control. Little Miss Savage stuck at the back of the pack. Slaya working some defense there against Little Miss Savage. Twig coming in to score some points, trying to strengthen that 2-point lead that they have. All right, and Twig is out with 4 points. Twig making the decision to call off the jam, keeping Little Miss Savage from scoring, adding 4 more points, now making this a 6-point game. If it was going to happen, it was going to happen, everybody, in the last few minutes. Like I said, we've seen Des Moines have their fair share of scoreless jams in the game, mostly in the first half. But when they did score, they scored enough to make up for those scoreless jams, and it all paid off. And here we are. They have taken a 6-point lead. Now, we cannot call it yet. We still have another 4.5 minutes left of this. So right now, Miggy back out there for back-to-back jamming. 007 Rubik's Dude out there jamming for the Pixies, and Rubik's Dude is our lead jammer. So Pixies have this lead now. Miggy is out. Both jammers are out. Here comes Rubik's Dude on the first scoring pass. Certainly going to add some points to the Pixies. Okay, Rubik's Dude calls off the jam. Back down to a 2-point game. Pixies 134. Des Moines 136. Down to the 4-minute mark of our game. Now looking at number 3, Little Miss Savage out there to jam for the Pixies. Let's see who we have. We have this is Twig, number 9. Twig stuck at the back. Little Miss Savage making her way up to the front of the pack. Looks like that's number 1987 Honey, putting some blocking on Savage. But Savage is out, so 2 leads here for the Pixies. Little Miss Savage catching up to the pack to score some points. Nice hit there by Honey, taking Little Miss Savage down at the bottom of the pack. Little Miss Savage calls off the jam. Now Little Miss Savage doesn't score. Oh no, I'm sorry. Little Miss Savage does score, putting 3 points, putting the Pixies back in that lead by merely 1 point. 137-136 now in favor of the Pixies, and there's 4 whistles going, so let's see what we got here for a timeout. This is a team timeout here. Looks like this is called by the Des Moines bench. Once again, Des Moines 136, Pixies 137. Des Moines had that lead for about 2 jams, but the last 2 jams that we just skated had 2 Pixies lead, Little Miss Savage and Trisket, adding enough points to put them back in the lead by 1 point in this team timeout with just under 3 minutes left to our game. Pixies getting a lot of love here from our fans. Now this morning we didn't quite have the fan base we have now, but of course we are moving into our championship games here. That team timeout coming to an end, so we're going back to this very intense game. 007 Rubik's Dude out there with the Jammer Star for the Pixies. And Miggy out to jam for Des Moines. Miggy gets up and gets 2 whistles. Miggy is our lead jammer for the Des Moines Derby Brats. Intensity continuing to ramp up as Rubik's Dude is also out of the pack, about 20 feet behind Miggy. Miggy coming in on a scoring pass, signals the call off right away. Looks like Miggy might have, okay, no, scoreless here for both of our jammers. So the Pixies still have this 1-point lead, 137-136. This will be our closest game of this year's JRDA championships, and there had to be at least one. So here it is. 2 minutes left to our game. 1 point separating these very amazing teams. Little Miss Savage back out there on the jammer line. Little Miss Savage out there versus number 9. This is Twig from Des Moines. Twig getting some distance there in the pack, but the Pixies holding up their entire defense against Twig. Des Moines losing a blocker. Looks like that's Honey going to the box. Little Miss Savage breaks out of the pack. Little Miss Savage is our lead jammer. So Little Miss Savage now coming in the engagement zone, able to score points. Passes 3, make that 4 blockers, strengthening that 1-point lead. A full 4-point scoring pass completed by Little Miss Savage, and it does not look like Savage is showing any signs of calling off this jam. Little Miss Savage is in, completing another scoring pass. Look at that apex jump. Little Miss Savage just flies across that track. Now looking at an 8-point jam for the Pixies. They lost that lead there for just about 2 jams. Little Miss Savage now on their 3rd trip through. Little Miss Savage calls off the jam. 46 seconds left to the game. And it looks like we're going to be in the ballpark of about 10 or 11 points there for Little Miss Savage. Let's see what our jammer referees are going to come up with. I think now, obviously not official, there may have been a couple blockers passed, but maybe not. Maybe it was just an 8-point jam. Either way, looking at Pixies 145, Des Moines 136. So now looking at a timeout called by our officials. Going from an official timeout into an official review. Not sure if we're using that as a team timeout. I don't know if I saw any conversations with bench staff, so I think that was just being used as a team timeout. We have another rolling whistle, so hopefully this brings us into the conclusion of this game. You can see there's 007 Rubik's Dude out there on the jammer line. And it looks like number 2010 Miggy out there with the star for Des Moines. Miggy fighting, and Miggy is out. Let's see what will come from this. Miggy with a very quick 4 points, bringing us to a 5-point game. Rubik's Dude breaking out of the pack, completing an initial pass. Miggy with an apex jump, taken out of bounds. And Miggy calls off that jam after that apex, bringing us to an unofficial score. Des Moines 144, Pixies 145. Of course, our officials have to meet and talk about and make sure all the points and scoring, everything looks good before we go into an official final score. That could go a number of different ways. If we somehow add 1 more point during the official math over to the Des Moines side of the scoreboard, we are looking at an overtime jam. There's a rolling whistle. So the score is final. Des Moines 144, but the Pixies taking this 1-point win at 145. We had to have at least one of these games here at Champs, and here it is. We've got 2 games to go, so please stick with us. Our next game will be Santa Cruz versus Rose City. You don't want to miss that. And our last game will be Philly versus the Foco Spartans. You really don't want to miss that. So it is our pleasure to bring to you these games. We are live here in Chicago with 2024 JRDA Championships. Spokane Pixies taking their victory lap around the track after that hard-fought win. But really, truthfully, both those teams did some amazing derby and deserve the highest level of applause they can get here in the rink. We're going to go ahead and cut to our intermission here between games, and we'll see you with our next game in just a few moments.